Time now for Inside Utah Politics with Lindsay Ertz.
Welcome on in to News for Utah Plus today. We're so glad that you're here. Thank you for finding us, whether it's on the streaming channel or on YouTube or, off X or Instagram, wherever you're finding this. We're glad you're here. Joined today by my political analysts to break down a lot of things happening in Utah politics. Taylor Morgan and Adam Gardner are here. Hi, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Gentlemen in their gray suits, it is good to be with you.
We didn't plan that.
And
We did not coordinate.
And your beehive pins and your flags.
Weber State
flag.
Let's
Well
go.
done, yeah.
Your American flag ties. Looking sharp, gentlemen. How's the session so far? We're day 2. Are we dead yet?
Feels like day 42.
Yeah, I was just literally going to say the same thing.
I texted you both at 11:45 saying, sorry about the late text. You're all, we're up. No problem.
Yeah, day 1. Day
Yes.
1 was a long one. Day 2 is longer. So here we go.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so going to break down some of the bills that are being proposed at the legislative session. One of those includes a possible really significant change in my mind to Utah's elections. And this bill's in a committee as we speak today. And what it does is takes Utah's election system and sort of bifurcates it. So it requires voters who vote in state elections to provide documentation that they're U.S. citizens, while federal elections, you can't require that because federal law does not require proof of citizenship.
It does, actually. It requires citizenship.
Fair. It's illegal to vote if you're not a citizen.
Right.
But I'm saying you don't have to provide documentation.
Well,
right?
Yes, you do. It depends on what state you live. Let me get to this, Lindsay. Sorry to interrupt you.
Just mansplain it to me.
This might be the dumbest bill of 2026.
Really?
It really might be. No offense to the good sponsors of this bill. It is absolutely absurd. There is no need for this bill. Utahns are already required to provide proof of citizenship when they register to vote. For most of us, what that looks like is we use our driver license ID number, which is tied into the voter database, which is also tied to federal election records that have record of citizenship. All of that happens when Utah voters register to vote. If there's a question about citizenship, then a Utahn would be required to then go in to their county clerk or the elections office, take a passport, take a birth certificate. They would be required to provide proof of citizenship before they can register to vote. This is not a problem. This is a solution in search of a problem for political reasons. It's dumb, it's confusing to voters, and it's just a bad idea altogether.
Well, I asked the House Speaker about that very thing yesterday. What is the problem in Utah? He said he's tried to ask that of election officials. He said, is it in the thousands of people who are voting illegally who are undocumented in Utah? Probably not. Is it in the hundreds? He said probably. So his argument is there are close elections and there are people who are illegally voting in Utah. Adam?
The only thing that comes to my mind, I agree with everything that was said. For federal elections, you have to be a citizen, and we use our driver license for that. There are a number of blue states that have made it, legal for illegals to vote.
Not states, cities in blue states.
San Francisco is probably the most.
New York as well.
Most famous example. So there's a number of municipalities that have done that across the United States. So when you're saying this is a solution in search of a problem, I think what they're trying to do is just hedge their bets. I don't think that will ever be much of a problem in the state of Utah. But if they're doing this, isn't just messaging in San Francisco and New York. This is real. So non-citizens are getting elected to city and county offices outside of Utah, and I think they see that as a problem, and they just want to make sure that doesn't happen here.
Well, state law already prohibits that from happening at the municipal level. State law already prevents any municipality from allowing non-citizens to vote in a municipal election.
And the speaker's argument was just because it's illegal doesn't mean it's not happening.
Right, but guess what?
But if we make it super illegal,
people are also committing crimes of all kinds. I sped on the freeway on my way here. I just incriminated myself. Guess what? No matter how strict the laws are, some people will try to find a way to break the law. We had a legislative audit on exactly this just last year, and it found that a very tiny handful of Utah voters are committing fraud when it comes to voting. We only had a couple dead people vote, Lindsay. We're not perfect, but we're pretty dang close.
That was his point too, that dead people aren't allowed to vote, yet some did. So,
we should look at that as a miracle.
Just to finish,
that's a good point. Look on the positive side.
Just to finish what the bill does, though, because I'm not sure if we fully explained it, it would really split the elections into state versus federal elections, right?
Yeah.
And to vote in state elections, you'd have to provide proof of documented proof that you are a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
If you
How do you
already.
bifurcate those?
Yeah, you can't do that
You
without
would check.
confusing
The bill
voters in the
says you would
process.
check a box on your voter registration, and I don't know if it goes so far as when you change your last name or your address, you've got to check a box. But it would ask you, do you want to vote in federal elections? If you say no, I mean, I don't know who doesn't want to vote in federal elections, but if you want to vote in federal elections, you don't have to provide proof for voting in those elections. But if you want to vote in state elections,
I get that. How much can the
then-
president really do anyway?
right, then you've got to provide proof, documented
It's
proof.
ridiculous. Can you? What good can come of bifurcating? That's a great word of the day.
Right.
We're going to make elections confusing. We're going to make the registration process confusing. We're setting up more barriers to voter participation. There is no need for this bill in Utah. You have to be a citizen to vote in federal elections. You have to be a citizen to vote in state elections already. There's no need to complicate the process further just to score political points.
Okay, so the bill's in committee as we speak. We'll see if it makes it out. Check my Twitter feed later today. I'll keep you updated. I did already write one story on this, so we'll see where it goes. Another proposal that is out there, which I don't even think has language yet, has to do with Utah schools. We've seen the governor and legislative leaders really push for literacy in Utah schools. They say our literacy rates are down. They really want a third grade literacy requirement, and I've even heard talk go so far as to say if you can't pass that literacy requirement in third grade, you automatically get held back. What do you guys think of that?
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think they're asking for more resources in the classroom. That's a big part of what this bill does. So you can have extra folks, extra experts, extra teachers come in and help kids that are falling behind get up to grade level. This is a national trend we're seeing. This is not a Utah problem. This is around the country. I think a couple of big issues that we need to face are technology in the classroom, and most importantly, I think parents not reading with their kids. Mm-hmm. So what I find interesting is we're shoving all of these new resources into classrooms, and I think that's great. I think teachers are heroes and need more resources, so whatever we can give them is great. But I also, just from my kids, my kids go to public school. It's teetering on the edge of being a Title I. And the problem is when my wife does PTA, she can't get any other parents to help out.
I let all the other parents do the volunteering at school. Sorry.
And it's not just those that are working or can't do it. They're not taking active roles in their children's education. And so we can fix all of these problems and getting more resources and having to help individual students get back up to grade level. And I think all that is great. But I don't think anything is going to change dramatically unless parents start taking a role in their kids' education.
Yeah.
Taylor, is there any concern here from Republicans who come in and the government is telling parents that their kid can't advance in a grade? Like, isn't it such a personal decision to decide whether to hold your kid back?
Well, I have personal experience with this. I have a fourth grader. My son, he is in a language immersion program with French in Canyons District in Draper. And he was really struggling with reading at the third grade level last year. And frankly, the potential threat is parents, right? I thought we were doing a decent job with him. We had him in some speech therapy, had him in some tutoring, but he was at a point in third grade where he was really at risk of not advancing to fourth grade because of his reading level, because he was struggling reading in English at that level, I think in part because he was in the French immersion program. So as parents, because we knew that was a possibility, the threat of having him held back, we went into overdrive as parents. We started reading with him. We started spending more time with him. We got him extra help. We did all of those things as parents because we knew that the risk of him being held back was real. I think it's a great thing. I think this is something that is long overdue in Utah. I think we need to make sure our kids don't move on unless they're brought up to grade level.
And this is a really good solution, like you just mentioned, Taylor, is in the past, I feel like if they weren't up to par with the rest of the kids or weren't going to be with their grade level, we just moved them on.
Yeah.
So they would go to fourth grade, and then they couldn't read at a third grade level. Now they're in fourth grade, and then we just push them on to fifth grade, and they can't read at a fourth grade level, and they can't read at a third grade level.
Yeah.
We're not helping the kids, and this is saying this is a crisis. This is all across the country, we believe, and this is what I like about our legislature in a lot of ways, is we're going to have a Utah solution to this. We're not going to wait for the federal government to come out with a program or an incentive or the Department of Education to do X, Y, or Z. We're going to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, we'll have to see how those things shake out. Maybe your kid is actually a genius, Taylor, because reading in French versus reading in English,
I have no idea how he does it. Frankly, he's
just-
a lot smarter than I am. It is a
Yeah.
lot. And I will say, I would maybe consider doing the same thing with math skills. You know, as a kid, I was moved on in elementary school from grade to grade to grade. And I fell so far behind in math, right, as an elementary school student, that it took me years to catch up to the bare minimum in high school. And then I really struggled with it in college. I think we need to look at doing this for other subjects, not just reading.
Who needs math anyways? We got calculators. We got no, I'm totally kidding here, folks.
Not
Don't
going to
worry.
try to do it on air, that's for sure.
Totally kidding. Okay, another big theme of day one of the legislative session that sort of loomed large over everything was these changes to the judiciary. We saw the State of the Judiciary address happen on Capitol Hill on Tuesday. All 5 justices were there. Some strong words from Chief Justice Matthew Durant, who basically chastised the legislature for taking aim for personal attacks when it crosses the line from attacking the opinion to attacking, you know, the impugning the motives of the justices. What did you guys take from what you heard, not only from the Chief Justice and that, but the proposals expanding the Supreme Court, possibly retention elections, adding judges to the lower courts as well? What did you take away from what you heard yesterday?
Adam?
Okay, I got a couple thoughts.
Yeah.
There was Senator Chris Wilson. He had some great points. He's been saying, look, filings are up 7% year over year. We're falling behind in caseload. We need judges to help out with opinions. Our state is growing really fast. There's things that individual judges on the Supreme Court can do. If we add 2 more, we think that will alleviate it. That is a great argument.
Mm-hmm.
The argument of, I don't like the way they're ruling, so I have a problem with that, so we're going to court pack, not a great argument. And to
I
be
don't
fair,
think anyone said
I have
that.
not
I
heard
think
that
that's-
argument. I just
yeah.
want to make that clear.
I think that's the assumption.
We're seeing that on the federal level, right? We've seen that multiple times where we don't like how they're ruling, we believe they're wrong, so we want to add more judges. That's not what we're seeing here. Lindsay, you did a great interview with the governor yesterday on day one of the legislative session, and he brought up a really good point. If you're mad at a judge and you don't have to attack them, just like Chief Justice Durant said, but you already have a mechanism to remove them. We met in special session in December to quote unquote fix the judiciary. And if you've already done that, let those fixes play out first before we get punitive on judges. I think that that was a great point. But as far as adding a couple of justices to the Supreme Court, of course, the governor is going to look at that. But I don't think it's necessarily, that has nothing to do with, hey, Chief Justice Durant or other justices were upset with you, so we're going to add 2 more. That's not the argument that they're making. And if that's true, I think this could be a good thing.
Yeah, and the governor, I should have sort of drilled down on this a little bit. You know, he was making the point that it's not court packing because Republicans have picked these judges forever and confirmed these justices forever, right? So it's not like they're trying to overcome
We're going to put more Republicans
a Democratic
We need to ask
administration.
better questions.
I
during
know, but the
confirmation.
question, well, my question to the governor should have been, okay, it's not traditional court packing, but is it because you don't like the rulings? And clearly, Adam, to your point, that's not the argument they're trying to make. I don't know that they would say that publicly, obviously, but
They
that's,
better not.
That's sort of the public perception
Well, I
right
think
now.
perception and the optics of this, just given the timing, are really difficult for the legislature. I genuinely do believe that there are good arguments, as Adam mentioned, you know, Senator Wilson's arguments about the need to expand the court just for capacity and caseload. I think that there are good arguments there. But again, given the timing of what has happened over the last year and a half with Proposition 4 and the legislature and the courts and litigation, this will be seen by Utahns as an attempt by the legislature to punish the courts, right? And it's really difficult optic-wise, but hey, that's never stopped the legislature before.
Well, they do have an advantage of, this isn't the first year they've ever talked about this.
Right.
Senator Weiler's been talking about this for a number of years. So I hope the messaging isn't like, this is a new idea, we're going to try it out, because the timing and the optics don't really work. But we've already been talking about this. We've studied it for years. We think now is the time to press go.
Well, talk to me maybe just a little bit, if you guys know sort of the inner workings of the Supreme Court, because adding 2 justices means 2 more opinions, 2 more people you got to email the opinion to. I guess 2 more drafters, right? So 2 more people to take on,
but also 2 more justices that can, handle caseload, right?
Right.
Not every case at every point is reviewed by every justice, right?
Right.
The justices spread the caseload over the justices. And so going from 5 to 7, just on the surface at least, increases capacity in that sense. Like Adam pointed out, and you pointed out, Lindsay, we're not changing the dynamic or the politics of the court by adding 2 justices, because we know those justices would be appointed by Governor Spencer Cox and confirmed by the Utah Senate. So it's not like we're suddenly expanding the court to appoint 2 liberal judges.
No, but I will push back a little bit, because the Judge John Nielsen that we just confirmed is much more of a textualist than the current makeup of the court.
Can we say that on air?
Yes.
Okay.
He calls himself a textualist. Is that like you're making that like a thing?
No, I'm not. I just wasn't sure how much federal society we wanted to get into.
Well,
here.
that's what he called himself.
I mean, look, you can call yourself anything you want. And again, you cannot tell me that any justice appointed by Governor Gary Herbert and confirmed by the Utah Senate even a decade ago was even a centrist or a progressive or a liberal. These have always been conservative justices. And we get the rulings that we have. And I don't think adding justices changes the composition or the type of rulings we'll get.
I also think if you're going to spend a lot of time writing opinions, and let's say every justice has to write 5 or 6 opinions every year, now you're only going to have to write 3. You have a lot more time to write thoughtful opinions. You take a lot of work off of your shoulders or your clerks or what have you. So this could be a good thing for workload purposes. And if they stick to those arguments, I think this has a real shot at passing, and I think the governor might get it.
And even if we're not adding diversity in terms of political ideology or political party, we are adding just diversity of thought and opinion and expertise by having more justices on the court. And again, with our growing state and with our demographics changing, I think that's probably a good thing.
I only push back because 1, it's my job, and 2, because the Bar Association has said to me, adding 2 justices just means more time and more opinions mixed in there, as opposed to actually relieving the caseload. Yeah. But to the legislature's credit,
worst. The Bar Association just needs something to complain about.
To the legislature's credit, adding the justices at the district level is where they really want to see the change, and that helps alleviate the caseload that gets up to the state Supreme Court
100% agree.
Yeah.
It's crazy the amount of caseload that these justices have or these judges have on the district level. It is their workload is incredibly high, and to keep having opinion after opinion come out and case after case, to alleviate that at all is great. I don't care if the judges have to work hard. That doesn't matter to me. But it's great for citizens that actually have to use the courts.
Yeah.
Whatever we can do to speed that up, I'm all in favor of.
The legislature also wants to create like a website, wants to require them to create like a website where all of their opinions can be found, all of their rulings, not just the Supreme Court, but all judges. Basically, Mike Schultz in our leadership meeting was complaining about how he couldn't find any rulings. He had to go to news articles from us to find.
I will say, Speaker Schultz, I think,
ruled.
is right on this one. As Utah voters, we vote to retain judges. We don't elect our judges, but we do vote for retention, to retain or not retain a judge. And despite efforts of the Judicial Retention Commission, it is incredibly difficult and confusing for Utah voters to learn about judges and know why they should vote to retain a judge or maybe to not retain a judge. We need to do a much better job about providing that information to voters in a really accessible way.
Yeah. Okay. In our final 3 minutes, we'll switch gears to a national and international story that I thought would go away by now, but it continues to make headlines, and that is Greenland.
Can we get the footer? What is it, the bottom third?
It's
what
the
did you call
lower
that?
third.
The lower third. Let's just get that up, Peter, if we can, just so everybody knows where I'm going. Great.
It's not Trump. We need Greenland. It's Taylor. We need
First of all,
Greenland.
I'd like to defer to Adam Gardner to tell me why I'm wrong here.
Yeah, please tell me why Taylor's wrong.
Greenland has always been a strategic national security must. I agree with the president on that. The idea that we have to take it by force or to give every citizen of Greenland $100,000 is insane to me. You don't need to do it. If you need minerals on the island, there is a way for us to get to the minerals. The United States already has access to that. We used to have 17 bases on Greenland. We don't anymore, but if we wanted 17 to fight back against Russia, we totally could. The president is making the argument that we needed to push back against Russia, yet he is an ally of Russia and could just go fight him in Ukraine, but chooses not to do that. We say that it's China because they've invested a lot of money into icebreakers and other things. We still have control of the Arctic, and we're going to keep it. And we can put bases there if we really need to, but we don't use those bases in Greenland for the Arctic. We use Britain, but now we're ticking off Britain any possible way we can, and I'm sick of that. It has to end. Stop talking about it. All you've done is coalesce Europe together, which is maybe good for Europe.
I think anytime you're pissing off all of
States.
Europe, you're probably doing the right thing, Adam. I'm just saying.
Why do we need Greenland now? Greenland has existed the way it has for 40 some odd years.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think there are issues here. I think diplomacy is important, and I joke a little bit about Greenland here, but I really think that what we're talking about is the fact that the United States is unable to even upgrade radar technology for 2 years because Denmark won't approve it. Things like that. I agree with Adam. We should not take it by force. We have Greenland, but we must be able to fully utilize Greenland strategically in a new multipolar world with climate change, with the ice melting, and with huge investments from Russia in their northern fleet, huge investments from China in icebreakers. It is a strategic choke point. It always has been. I just worry that we're not able to fully use Greenland strategically without dealing with Denmark and their control of it.
It's not worth blowing up NATO over it.
But I think it is worth spending a few $1 billion. Just we could buy Greenland, pay off every Greenlander, right? That can't cost much. There's not many of them.
What do you make of the
It's
tariffs,
the population
though?
the size of Saratoga Springs.
Yeah,
so I think we could take them.
We could do that.
But
Let's
President Trump has floated the idea of tariffs on our NATO allies, right, because of this situation.
Yeah,
in
let's
Greenland.
not punish anybody but Greenland, or not Greenland, Denmark, until they give us Greenland. That's the way to go.
Okay.
You do not start taxing and tariffing Ozempic.
No, whatever you do, do not. That'll be a huge problem for
Me and Adam will come
Republican
after
voters.
you.
Americans need it.
We need it. We won't fix with the food that's actually the chemicals that are actually in our food, but
Nobody
will,
can afford it because health insurance won't pay for it.
we
But
will buy our
everybody
own
needs
Ozempic.
it. Yeah.
We will leave it there. Taylor Morgan, Adam Gardner, thanks for your thoughts today. We appreciate it. And as always, follow our coverage of the Utah legislative session and all of Utah politics. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us there. News 4 Utah Plus is our streaming app on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. We're also on YouTube. You can find me on X, Lindsay on Air, Lindsay spelled with an A. And I think that's all for now. Watch Inside Utah Politics on Sunday with Governor Cox. My full interview that Adam mentioned with Governor Cox will air on Sunday on ABC4. And we will see you next time.